Hello, everybody, and welcome back to For Comics Sake. Today, I want to talk about one of the most powerful forces in comics: creativity. Comics have always been a medium where imagination can run wild. Think about it. No other form of storytelling combines art, dialogue, and action in such a unique way. Every panel is a canvas where anything is possible. Whether it's a superhero flying through the clouds or a quiet, intimate moment between characters, creativity is the life's blood of every great comic. What's amazing is that in comics, even the impossible can feel real. You can push boundaries, experiment with style, play with structure, and tell stories in ways that wouldn't work anywhere else. The beauty of comics is that they're a team effort. Writers, artists, inkers, letterers, colorists all come together to create something that's greater than the sum of its parts. So, next time you pick up a comic, take a moment to appreciate the sheer creativity that went into it. From the initial idea to the final printed page, every step is a leap of imagination. That's what makes comics so special. For comics' sake, let's keep pushing these creative boundaries. I am your host, J.Crager, and welcome. It's another Monday. Let's see, what's the fucking date? It's October 14th, and it's 8 p.m. I'd like to welcome my very tired, my very overworked co-host, William Perdomo.
Evening, everyone. And I see Luke is here, thank God. I had this image in my head during the hurricane, Death Metal Hero Luke, of like this house sitting on him and his long giant legs sticking out and then curling up and his pantaloons rolling up and he's got striped socks and then being pulled underneath like the Wicked Witch of the West. But he survived.
Yeah, he did. He did. Can't kill a good Viking.
No.
And speaking of Vikings, we're going to welcome our guest. His name is Hojo.
Welcome, Hojo.
Thanks for having me. What's going
on? Nothing. I'm hoping you are a Viking, so that would make this good.
Are
you German?
You want me to be? My last name is German. Yeah.
Well, then good. Then you are a Viking, my friend. Your peoples at some point made their way up into Scandinavia and made the wonderful people that we know as the Vikings. So, not only you, but Luke and my peoples.
I've actually never bothered to see where the Vikings originated from.
Germanic tribes.
Yeah,
they came from Germania.
The Proto-Germans that also made up the Spaniards. So,
I know the Goth sort of originated in Lithuania kind of area and migrated down.
Well, aren't you the historian here? Aren't you
but
the
I never
one
cared about the Vikings.
The fucking degree? All you did.
Care.
Why? You should care about all of it, not just the small part.
All I cared about was the Mare Nostrum, homeboy. The Mediterranean.
Right.
Where we repose in perfect climates and under.
What are these Jews doing over here?
Oh, they're all over the place, homeboy.
Yeah. No, I know, homeboy.
Wait. The Romans were the ones who allowed them to open their little schools. Okay, after they blew up their temple.
Homeboy, homeboy? Like you're an essay now? What the fuck, dude?
I am from LA.
You're not an essay. No, by no means. Do I think if you put a little bandana on it would make you look hard?
I'm a thesis.
It'd be so rad because all I would call you is little puppet.
Don't look at me, little puppet.
That's exactly what would. That's exactly what would happen.
We're not that close, Jason. You're not gonna, we're not that close. Put it that way. I'm not gonna describe what scene that comes from. But
little puppet. Yeah, it's a good one, man. It's good.
And Hojo's like, "What the hell am I doing here?" Like,
he doesn't know. He doesn't know. So neither do I.
So welcome, Hojo. What is your benediction before we get started?
Comics are a way to communicate when we don't even know the words, and we don't even know what we're going to put down on the page. but at the end of the day, a thought can come across and transcend time and space and different cultures, languages, time zones to say, hey, this guy just punched this dude right in the fucking face.
Nice.
And descriptive reality being what it is, it's the same if a Chinaman gets punched in the face or an essay gets punched in the face.
Yes.
Yeah, little puppet.
Yeah,
Why are you so angry, little puppet?
Or if, rectums get punched in the face in that case.
That's right.
Shall we say hello to our lovely audience? I mean, that's going a bit far, but as always, we'll begin with my fellow Italian, Mr. Marco Galli. He says, greetings, everyone. Thank you, my friend. And he said, like and subscribe. And this guy, whose name I shall not mention because I don't want him to appear, but he asked, can you dance? Jason?
You know I can.
Oh, shoot. I did it by accident.
You know I can.
What up, Jason? Will Hojo, Death Metal Hero. And thank you for saying hi, Hojo. Appreciate it.
Yes. I have to interact with the chat.
Oh, Devil Flyer. How you doing, buddy? Thank you for coming in.
What's up, Rex?
Thank you for showing up. And he said, hey, Will, thank you for acknowledging me. I know I'm in the dark and I have this little floating head amongst so much black.
You're like Zombie from Pee Wee Herman.
That's a deep cut at this point.
Because I was looking, I was like, is he wearing a black shirt? You wouldn't even turn. I saw the neck.
Motherfucker, you need to go find a turban right now. Right now, Will. Turban that motherfucker up right now.
I don't know, like this? Is this okay?
Now you look like the U.S. bomber.
No.
I need some sunglasses.
So good.
Are you gonna call America's Most Wanted, Hojo?
Nah, I don't have his number anymore.
Is that a deep cut too? What was his name? John Walsh? Is that his name?
Yeah. I was more of an unsolved mysteries type guy.
Oh,
that music is creeping me out, man.
And the guy from Caddyshack 2 who hosted it.
His poor son, Adam Walsh.
Robert Stack. It was Robert Stack, wasn't it?
Yeah, Robert Stack. Yeah.
If you or anyone you know has any information, call us immediately.
Damn right, Jason. Raises meat horn, skull.
That's right.
This is a good question. How's your cat?
My cat is doing so much better. He was fucking sick for like a month and a half. Who asked?
Oh, no.
Devil Flyer.
So my cat's been sick for like over a month, and finally, antibiotics started working on this fucking cat, and then he started eating, and all the weight that he lost, like the 3 pounds or something like that, 4 pounds, dude, he's fat again. Like he's fat. He woke us up twice in the middle of the night the other day to eat. Like it was exactly the way he used to be.
So he's cool now.
Yeah, so we're back.
Yeah, he's 100%. So thank goodness.
That answers your question.
Yeah, he's 100. He's 100, as they say.
Death Metal Hero take more than a hurricane to take me out. Will I live in Florida? We're used to this shit.
Yeah,
and Jason, his bumbling sidekick, writes.
He writes essays. Essays. Yeah, I don't think I ever want to get used to something called hurricanes. Even when I lived in Illinois, and we had hurricane sirens and shit like that, tornado sirens. Yeah. That shit was weird to me, like because I grew up in California, and the only time I'd hear sirens like that is if the Russians were gonna like bomb us or something.
Right.
So it's weird because I didn't grow up in the Midwest, hearing those type of sirens and things like that, and having type of natural disasters like that are not earthquakes. Earthquakes are manageable, man. Like hurricanes are not.
Yeah, especially when you have the hurricanes like what they had in North Carolina. Like it's a little bit south of me. Like it just wiped the whole town off the map.
Yeah, that shit gets crazy. So
I mean, around here we had one hurricane, and like it was so destruction wasn't so bad, but it was so jarring, no pun intended, around here that they literally called Alan Jackson out of her retirement to do like a benefit concert or something, like a
Wow.
music singer. Yeah, it was crazy.
We called on Alan Jackson.
I know.
He showed up in a second.
He did a hoedown.
He did a hoedown,
Mm-hmm.
and we made it go. That's right.
So that's
What up,
pretty
Chauncey?
And I was in my buddy's basement, and so that was weird for me because I was like, he said, "Did you?" I said, "That was a fucking earthquake." He said, "No, dude, no." It was pretty bad. Like it was pretty crazy around here. Like no damage, but just no one had ever experienced something like that, you know.
Yeah, earthquakes are fun, man. So I'll take an earthquake any day of the year. My relatives live in Florida, so they've been through like 2 fucking hurricanes in, so many weeks. So and they both kind of landed around the same area, which, was close enough to my cousin's house. Enough for the river to rise and make it uncomfortable, so to speak. So
yeah, at the end of the day, we are at mercy to nature and natural disasters. Nothing
fun stuff.
By the way, Chauncey there was the lucky recipient of both those pieces last week. That I'm very jealous that he won.
You're awesome. Yeah, I wrote your name on it, buddy. So I'll get it out when I get a chance, Mr. Chauncey.
And yes, he did have the most ominous voice on Unsolved Mysteries, Luke.
He did.
Yeah, did he voice like Ultra Magnus, the Transformers?
Did he
in the movie? I think so.
It's so awesome.
By the way, he's glad that your dog is doing better.
And
cat, whatever. They're both the same. We live in an age where there's no such thing as essences.
He identifies as a dog, is what you're telling me? Okay. Got it.
He said, "Take your time, Crager," by the way, Chauncey says. And when I see that name Chauncey, I always think of 2 things. I always think of the film Who's the Man, where they're shaking down iced tea in the bar and they're making fun of him for his name being Chauncey. But his name he wants to be called Night Train, but they keep saying, whatever, Chauncey. And then the ghost in Luigi's Mansion named Chauncey.
Chauncey Billups is the basketball player. That's all I know.
I just love that name. I think it's a great name, Chauncey.
Chauncey.
It's like it sounds like a plantation owner's dude with the shotgun with like a bowler hat. Like he sends out to do his heavy work. Chauncey, get him.
You better not be pissing Mr. Chauncey off today.
Exactly.
It reminds me of a basketball player's name. And then that makes me think of Pearl Jam's first name, which was Mookie Blaylock or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, deep cuts.
In fact, I'm gonna name a heavy character Chauncey in honor of Chauncey.
For Meathead. In Meathead.
Yeah, but there's not a lot of white people walking around or black people walking around in Vietnam. So I have to find a way to get him in there.
That's true.
It's funny. Yeah, it's not a story that takes place in the Western Hemisphere. It's like, wait a minute, now I've got a shortage of white people.
Could be a nickname that one of the white people gives to one of the other people.
Yeah.
And all the white people in it get killed in the first 12 pages, most of them in the first book.
Right.
The Eurotrash guys.
Nice.
So we don't have a Wheel of Pain tonight because I don't think we did suggestions. So what are we cooking tonight, Crager, while we jaw jack?
Oh, I'm working on inking stuff. So let me open it, please. Give me 1 second.
Is that your William Burroughs story? That your background?
Yeah, it is.
What the hell is this?
It is.
It's
this silly thing that Herman wanted me to do. Not silly. I'm not saying it's silly. It's the Witcher characters, like those crazy fucking bad guys.
And you hated their armor, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the armor. So, and I know Herman like fucking told me, he was like, "Hey man," he goes, "these are right up your alley." He goes, "I figured you'd love these things." And yeah, I mean, they're growing on me a little bit as I'm doing it, but
This is a
I
nice
don't
piece.
know.
This is an epic piece, man. There's 3 characters in here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot going on. So I figured I'd just try to get this done because the way my rep stuff works is like if somebody goes to my art rep and says, "Hey man, I want to commission Mr. Crager to do something for me."
The one who shall not be named says it's not too shabby, Crager.
Oh, thank you.
The cool
And
thing about getting a commission from Crager, not to interrupt you, sorry, Crager, is that he goes above and beyond, and then scales back to what you paid for. So, as an example, I got a Weapon X piece from him, and this insane man, did this like giant, I don't know, like 20 by 20 foot, like
Oh my.
like when Wolverine's killing an entire Canadian settlement, like a Canadian like province worth of people. He's like, that would have cost you like $20,000. I'm gonna scale it down to 8.5, what is it, 17 by what is it, the dimensions that you gave me?
yeah, whatever it was 11 by 17.
Yeah, so it's like, but he originally drew this like massive
Oh
like
god.
murder spree that had like
I
10-30 bodies in it.
Yeah, and I was like, "No, man, like this is crazy." I still have it. I haven't even inked it because it's just so much work. Uh and I'm going to charge like so much for it. If I can get somebody to buy it, it'll be a fucking miracle, basically. But anyways, I have an art rep, and the way it works is you could something commissioned through my art rep for me to do, and you pay it up front. They hold on to the money until I get a chance to do it, and then I do it and I send it directly to you, and then she pays me either at the end of the month or sooner sometimes, depending on what's what, depending on where I am in that cycle.
Right.
And so it's very, very businesslike. So it's not like I'm sitting on anything, sitting on monies or things like that. It's just basically a matter of time until I get it done. So usually I'm super busy doing other types of work. So I kind of got to peck away at some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what I did with this. I've just been kind of pecking away at it and trying to get it all inked up real nice. And it's getting there. It's
Speaking
starting to come
of
along.
pecking, I'm curious as to what Hojo is pecking away at the moment.
Peccaroony.
Pecking away at stories, man. Like, it's what I'm on issue 3 now. So I've been kind of putting the finishing touches on my edit of issue 4 and going back, and so issues 5 and 6 are already, first draft is already done. And
In case people don't know, what are these issues? In case there's people who don't know.
oh, so the mythicals, if you want like a real quick 5-second pitch, it's
Please.
You took Buffy the Vampire Slayer and X-Files and just slapped them together. So it's kind of like it's a covert action mystery. So it's like a team of monster hunters that go out and fight these supernatural threats, only to find out throughout these 13 issues that all the shit's connected. Everything. Fate's a funny thing, you know. Everybody's in the spot where they are now because that's where they need to be. That's where they've been placed. So as we go along, you're going to find out that some stuff that maybe didn't make sense in issue 1 is going to make perfect sense down the road. Throwaway lines or like, oh, he said this instead of that. This was a typo. Nope. My editors are great. There are no typos. Everything's the way it's supposed to be. So
And who illustrated the last 3?
We had to rotate because each time something happened. The first one, he just wasn't quite ready for prime time, is what my inker said, who is also my visual editor. So I trusted him to make that decision. We decided to go another direction. And that was Thomas Tikas. And penciling issue 2 is Alexandre Nascimento. but he got poached by Todd McFarlane and DC. They're doing the
Always happens.
Yeah, they're doing like a tie-in with like a toy, because I guess Todd's doing a bunch of DC toys now, and so he's doing the tie-in comic with that. And
hopefully he'll keep his shoes on for this one.
Yeah. It's a joke about Todd McFarlane.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
No.
Inside joke about Todd and his tendency to walk around barefoot in inappropriate situations.
Maybe it's a nerves thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Or an asshole thing.
Yeah, or
either
an asshole
one.
thing.
I was trying to be nice, but yeah, I have to lean towards it possibly.
Let's just say you were like James Cameron, right? And then Todd McFarlane came to your little like office where you were busy making Avatar, one of the largest like science fiction like CGI based movies ever created.
Mm-hmm.
And you've hit up a couple toy people, but you're gonna check out this Todd guy because I guess he does comics and makes okay toys. And the guy, you come into your office and this Todd guy is sitting in your chair and has his dirty fucking feet, shoeless feet up on your fucking desk. What do you do? What do you do, man? Like,
you're asking me personally?
Yeah, if you were James Cameron, what would
so if
you
I'm
do?
James Cameron and not me, if I'm James Cameron, I'd be like, sir, can you please take your feet off my desk? I know testosterone is bad, but can you please take your feet off my desk?
I don't think he was that delicate.
But me, I'd have been like, who the fuck do you think you are?
Yeah.
That's probably more what happened.
It'd be like, get the fuck out of my chair.
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
Here, you fucking nerd, get out of my chair.
He probably thought they had some kind of Canadian, connection together.
Yeah.
He's like,
anyways,
Canadian?
It didn't go very far when it happened in real life. And it took another 10 years for him to schmooze his back way into making the Avatar toys now after 10 years. So, yeah, my buddy was in the room when it happened. And it was brutal.
Well, that's what Luke said. Always keep your feet and your hubris in check. Your hubris in check, homeboy.
Keep your dirty ass feet off somebody else's fucking desk. What the fuck's the matter with you? Like, it's.
I thought Canadian people are supposed to be very well mannered. That's not well mannered at all.
I think there's some kind of repression going on.
You got to do his voice, fucking Will. Come on, Will.
But I got to find a situation like,
I'm like that too with impressions. I have to have a script. I have to have.
No, but I like to think about his Neil Gaiman. Like, imagine going to court and this prim and proper Englishman who's very good with the ladies walks in and gives his spiel, and then he comes in there and goes like, "I'm the owner of Spawny. I am the king of all media."
You're talking about the Angela thing.
Yeah. Imagine him coming after like a speech of Neil Gaiman and walking, the ladies in the jury are like, and this Canadian goofball.
I created Spawn.
I created Spawn.
This is who the hell is this guy? He doesn't draw or anything. He doesn't. He's like, who are you?
You're a silly little man.
Get out of you, silly man.
I do the Alan Moore when he called Rob Liefeld. Remember, he called him a silly little man.
Alan Moore.
He's a silly little man.
He called him a ridiculous little man.
Ridiculous little man.
What did he said about Rob?
And you know that Alan Moore could just eat him, like in one like little gone.
Yeah.
What happened to fucking Rob Liefeld? He was eaten by Alan Moore.
who I've always said is a deeply closeted magician.
Yeah, and then he pray to like some kind of like snake god or something. It's perfect. He can just unhinge his jaws and just.
Yeah, it's a snake god. Its name is Glacone. Is the name of that snake god? Yeah, it's a good one. You guys still there?
Yep,
we're still here. Okay. It's only been like a second.
I thought it went out.
I always just go with my good standby of comic. You remember Comic Book Greats, Hojo? The videotapes you could get in the back. of comics, and you can get the Jim Lee
Yes.
one. You can get the I think there was a
Mhm.
Mark Silvestri one, but I always like to make
Yeah.
fun of Todd with his bright yellow like sweater that he has on. You know what I'm talking about? That cardigan he has on.
Yes.
And he's
Oh
like,
my
Yeah.
god.
the kids love chains. They're all sexy. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna go to overkill. We're gonna yes, that's right. That's right, Stan. We're gonna auction off, be millionaires.
We're gonna
He's
look like
talking about
Puff Daddy.
he's like talking about like the web, and he was like, well, it's just a line, and I was like, it used to be like spaghetti, you know, it's like it's in there and it's all wrapping around, and it's like I'm like, yeah, it looks cool.
That Tom
That like
DeFalco, he didn't understand my dreams.
yeah, yeah.
um,
Bunch of nut
so
balls.
you mentioned that you mashed up. I don't know if you were just using it as a pitch, but did you actually mash up and take inspiration from the X Files and Buffy?
Oh, kind of like, especially this issue. This is like a monster of the week type deal. So
Mm-hmm.
you get like a day in the life with what a case is like here at the at level M or whatnot. But no, I'm a big fan. Like, cause like I was in the military, right? So and I bring that experience to this. You know, kind of like a little bit of realism. And I live near Washington D.C. and unfortunately, bureaucracy is. I hate it. I can't stand it. So that's what this is, like kind of a my version of something like that, and so I can take that realism and spin it with all this stuff, like in my like I'm a big history buff. I minored in history, and so I get to take this little Indiana Jones romp as we go along and find these missing artifacts, kind of like Warehouse 13. Did you ever watch that show?
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
No.
it's
Nope.
kind of like it's all these historical artifacts, but they like an example was it Edgar Allan Poe's pen or something. It could do something strange and make people like go into severe depression and stuff like that. And so they have to rescue these items and put them in this big warehouse so the Gen Pop can't get all this crazy shit.
That's so rad. I would take
Yeah.
that pen.
Yeah.
Yeah. If
I do want to make an observation though. I find it really funny that I always meet two types of veterans, and I very rarely meet them in between. And it's either the ones who are fine with authority, cool with everything, and they would do it again if they could. And there's the other ones that are like, I'm a straight up libertarian. I'm never working for anybody again. F that. No more bureaucracy.
I'm both of those people at the same time, and it's those two people are at odds at all times. Especially, you know, I am patriotic. You know, I would do it all over
I'm saying
again
in
in a
terms of
heartbeat.
the system.
Oh, the fucking system, man.
Right.
It's
Like I
just,
either meet the guys who are like cool with it and they would do it again, or they're like, F that, I'm never working for them again.
well, here's the thing: the ones that you met either got out, and that's the reason they got out because they're never doing that again, and they couldn't put up with it, or the ones who just bit the bullet, took it up the ass long enough to get their 20, 30 years in and get out and be like, oh, well, I'm not doing it again. I did my time. But, or you're talking to the ones who are still in or like, hoo hoo, and they just, you know, that ain't me anymore.
Or Dennis next door who's like, yeah, I had my years in Nam and I'm good.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm never going back there. I'm too old.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm never going back. I have no reason whatsoever to go to Southwest Asia again.
But you can with Meathead once you read it and everybody has it. So my shameless pitch right there, or shameless
That's
drop.
right. That's right. Meathead goodness. So,
But
which I'm working on. Yeah.
I guess to answer your question, I didn't really say, hey, I want to take this and match that with this. I just, you know, shit that I dig and stuff that I was into, and write a comic book that I would want to write and or read. So I guess that's what makes the fun stuff. You know, I'm not trying to write to please a specific audience, because, you know, the best thing about Buffy was for me was like not only the horror aspect, but how Joss Whedon would he could lay in the snappy dialogue and like layer in the humor and make it seem like natural, you know. Because even in like in a patrol situation, when you're in the army and like you're getting ready to go kick in a door and everybody's just like listening to whatever they're listening to, and back then it was an iPod and stuff like that. But what if somebody farts? Everybody just starts laughing, and it's just hilarious. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to break that up, and that's what I put in this book, because it's about the characters at the end of the day. Like, you believe these people, and you want to hang out. I wouldn't say necessarily want to hang out with all of these people, but they're relatable. You know, I guess you could say, like, I don't do any of that grandiose too much. Like my villains will monologue, but at the end of the day, the characters will make fun of the monologue. Like, dude, stop talking so much. Can we fight now?
Is it episodic like Hellboy, where we've got
this
it's
is
a
all one
mythology,
long
but
narrative.
each is self-contained.
Yep, kind of like that. Yep, every
Or Lady
issue,
Mechanica, for that matter.
This is one long issue. If you step back and read it, it'll all fall into line.
And in terms of how the readers have received it, what have you gotten in feedback on this?
I mean, everybody likes this smart-ass talking cat for some reason. I didn't really expect him to go over as well, but I guess that's how it works. People like Nancy because she's not like immediately the best at everything, and she's not gonna be because that's not how life works. Especially
she's not a Mary Sue.
Yeah. When you're a 120-pound female, like you do, like Dirty Harry says, a man needs to know his limitations. At this point, we're gonna find out the woman knows her limitations as well. For sure.
I think, tell you the truth, and Luke says down here, he's like, the first 4 seasons of Buffy were great. And I got to tell you, man, I tried. And it's probably going to be controversial, but I can't stand Joss Whedon. I think he sucks.
Oh, he's hit or miss, man.
I don't like his. You like his dialogue, but I don't. I think he's like.
I don't think Firefly is as good as people think it is because there's only one season.
Can't stand him. And some chick tried to show me these, and I what I found weird about Buffy was, I guess it was in that sweet spot when there was that transition from the 24 episode format where they want to keep it self-contained to draw in new watchers. Mm-hmm. And you saw stuff like Battlestar Galactica that was trying to break that mold and say we're telling a narrative. Mm-hmm. But you got to keep doing like Monster of the Week stuff, like the X-Files, because they want to catch new people who didn't catch up on the mythology episodes. And then you saw that finally turn over. I'm trying to remember what show really did it. Maybe The Sopranos was like the proto one of it. But I can't remember what it was. It was probably around the Breaking Bad. It was that golden age of TV where it was Breaking Bad, Walking Dead, Bates Motel. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I didn't watch Lost, but I think Lost was like that. It's definitely
it came before that.
Fringe. I like that. 24 was a good example.
24 was a good little mini renaissance of that format that it was really stale. Where like let's use the format as a device, and the first 2 seasons of 24 are spectacular.
Oh, I love them all, to be honest. The last one got a little bit.
Well, the nuke thing gets old after a while, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you do it in the first. You did what season 2?
It was 3. It was 3 seasons of nukes.
Yeah, season 4 was a nuclear football. I got a bit much.
You know what I was hoping for, and this might be too deep cut for everybody in here, but fuck them. Is remember when Jack gets caught at the Chinese embassy?
Chinese consulate. Yeah.
You know what I was hoping for the next season would be him in China escaping and trying to get out of China.
Yeah, they spent it. They just gave him back.
He just shows up. I'm like, dude, what a wasted.
They don't just
potential.
Give people like that back. Trust me on that one.
It would have been so cool if that was the 24 of the next season. I thought that's what they were going to do.
It would have been smart. Like, if you could have reworked it to where, because they had that writer's strike, and that's when they had to do like that South African storyline or something, and
the movie,
the TV movie. Yeah.
You
could have gone back and did like a half a season on just him escaping from like the Chinese work camp.
Did you ever watch it, Crager? 24?
9. Nope.
What? Oh, nope. You never did?
Nope. Sorry.
What was great about it was, especially in the first season, where the first half, it's structured in such a way where you're dealing with one scenario and one set of villains.
Oh, I know.
Then they do the great thing of saying, no, these guys are the bench warmers.
Yeah,
and the actors they chose to be the real villains were really cool.
I know, like the first season, like I had no idea the main villain was gonna be Dennis Hopper.
Yeah,
spoiler
Dennis
alert,
Hopper on
24 years
TV.
Old.
What have you seen Dennis Hopper on TV?
I know, that's right. That's crazy. I forgot.
And Lou Diamond Phillips was
Lou Diamond Phillips. Yes. Good times.
I mean, for us, young people are like Lou Diamond. Who? What? Like
Richie Valens.
Young Guns, bitches.
Chavez.
Chavez.
Yeah, man. Like, fuck, fuck La Bamba. It's Chavez, homeboy.
Yeah.
That's how that was what he was for us.
Oh, that's well. I mean, La Bamba came out when I was like probably like 6, and
Yeah,
I
man.
hate it. I hated going on planes.
I saw La Bamba. It was good.
Luke
I'm
says
older
Whedon's
than you
dialogue was
guys, though.
refreshing when it first started. The problem is that everyone thought they were the next Joss. Now all the characters are snarky, similar to Quentin Tarantino, where they would go
Oh,
on. They would try to talk about bullshit and draw it out to sound like a Quentin soliloquy.
Yeah, because that's all him. That's what he does when he talks in the mirror to himself.
Josh
But
Whedon.
Quentin's dialogue actually moves the plot. It actually is a scene unto itself. I mean, I'm not like a Quentin disciple, but
I'm not
if
at
you go
all.
back and actually watch his stuff, his dialogue, especially, I think, in the latter half of his career, I think are his best films, like Django and all those, are better films. And in the first half,
Right.
that's probably
Right.
controversial, but I think
Oh.
Django and Once Upon a Time are his two best movies. The discussion actually moves the scene.
Right.
You
I like
know,
Hateful Eight.
I did enjoy that one.
I don't like it. I think it's a little self-indulgent.
I like it. I like it. I like it a lot.
I didn't like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because
I love that film.
I think because like I was watching, I was like, man, this. I didn't know he directed it. So about an hour into it, I looked at my wife. I said, look, this feels like a half-assed Quentin Tarantino movie. And then it turns out it was.
It is a Quentin Tarantino movie.
It turns out it is. I gave myself the Streisand effect with myself.
Yeah.
But like for me, Pulp Fiction, I can't watch it unless it's the Samuel L. Jackson scenes. Other than that, it's boring to me. But that's just
right.
Because Samuel L. Jackson is just. I love Jackie Brown. That I will say that.
That is one of my favorite films. I love Jackie Brown.
As QT goes, that's his best movie, hands down, for me. And the soundtrack is the better of all the movies.
I agree. That's my favorite of that first half when it jumps. I think, like I said, the last half of his career is his best. But in terms of that first half, that's the best is Jackie Brown.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he says, Luke says, Fringe is still one of my favorite shows, though the last season was rough. I heard.
I still don't get it, but I guess I didn't want to get it. That's what I was told.
Woodrow, what up, buddy? Hell of a chat, and we still got to get Woodrow back on.
Yeah,
because we were supposed to have him, and we had to postpone that show.
Was it Woodrow?
Wasn't it Woodrow? I could have swore it was Woodrow.
I thought it was.
Well, Woodrow would know, probably.
Yeah, he might know.
I think Woodrow would know. But
Marco, I have to check out Fringe. And Luke is pretty partial to Reservoir Dogs. I think Reservoir Dogs is a great.
I thought it was Ink Spots.
Oh, he said he's so partial to Reservoir Dogs. I agree. It's like a great play. I just have a hard time with some of the sadism in it.
Oh, you mean Michael Madsen?
Yeah, I just don't like seeing people tortured.
Yeah,
I just don't like it.
I like it.
I don't know. It doesn't sit well with me as I'm getting older. I get too sensitive to cruelty to people.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And even worse since I've had kids.
Yeah, I hear you there.
But yeah, man. So I think that period we were talking about 24 is when it was the last gasp of that format. And Buffy, unfortunately for me, in that first season I tried to sit through, it was just a monster of the week, and they were just like going through really cool villains and just killing them off every episode. I'm like, okay, what the hell's going on? When's this going to start? When's this show going to start?
Yeah. And I do that too. Like with the first 2 issues, there's a villain, and then I'm putting him on the shelf for a little bit. But you'll see him behind this. You'll see him in a panel from time to time in a couple issues coming up. So I don't want him to get stale because that storyline in itself is going to be pretty wonderful when it gets revealed on who that really is. It's going to, I wouldn't say shock everybody, but it's going to add a lot more depth to the story.
Okay. I just hate it when good villains are wasted.
I know. Or if they're just misunderstood, that shit is getting old. The whole
okay, where they're not, there's no such thing as good and evil.
Like Magneto's not really a villain, or Doctor Doom's not really a villain. I think they should be, but
yeah, it's a very postmodern thing where there's no such thing as good and evil, just dialectics.
Yes, Just like an oppressed and an oppressor or something, or a subjugated, and there's no gray area. But then they try to have the best of both worlds. Like they don't have any gray area, but they want all of their characters to be like morally gray.
Right. Well, because remember, everything's relative now.
Yes.
Woodrow said, I am incorrect. Me and Will had a cooking show we planned a long time ago. Sorry about that, buddy. I disappeared for a year. But I wasn't booked on this one. Well, we're going to have to change that, Woodrow. We're going to have to bring you on then.
At some point.
Luke says, he's talking to Marco. If you like X-Files type shows, the endearing characters, you'll like Fringe. And Marco says, and an art show from Hojo's Art. And can we see anything? Can you show us anything, Hojo?
I can share the campaign if you want.
Well, let's have a look at it.
All right.
Sure.
Yeah, you're right, Woodrow. The X-Files is great. It was one of my favorite shows. I think what I liked about the X-Files is that it was heavily influenced by Twin Peaks.
Oh, I love Twin Peaks. I'm a David.
And you can see it in the X-Files.
Yeah. For sure.
Very Twin Peaks. But what I think was also really cool for the X-Files is the fact that it was shot it was one of the first big productions shot in Canada, and that atmosphere of shitty weather, overcast skies, wet ground, really contributed to the atmosphere.
Oh yeah, like the Vancouver sets and stuff. You could see like the back lots and like these little back alley meetings and stuff, and you can see the steam.
It was always
great.
Dark and gross.
Yeah.
And then, when they moved to LA, remember in the 6th season, it totally changed the atmosphere. It like lightened up, it brightened up, it got clean, a little bit cleaner. It wasn't, like I said, it had a dark foreboding to it being shot in Canada.
Yeah.
And I think it was an accidental thing. I think they were like, oh wow, like look at all this atmosphere we're getting for free.
Yeah, it worked good. It worked well to be like DC. It was a good stand-in for DC because it's grimy.
Or when they did Millennium, even better. It really helped in Millennium.
Oh yeah.
Because they were trying to do like a 7 influence thing for Millennium. And for a minute there, Chris Carter was dominating. He was dominating at Fox for a minute. Remember, he had that, Millennium, Harsh Realm.
Yeah, I remember Harsh
And then
Realm.
his 2 writers had Space Above and Beyond, his 2 main writers.
I don't know if I watched that one. And Lone Gunman actually had a season.
Lone Gunman, there was that show. Is there anything else that was Chris Carter? They did the couple movies. So, yeah, he was the man there for a minute. Season 6, Woodrow, is after the movie, and unfortunately, the movie represents the crescendo of the series, and then like they don't pay that off in the 6th season. Like all the cool shit that happened in the movie, you're like primed for the rest of the mythology, and it just goes nowhere.
I know, dude. Man, and then you get fucking T-1000, whatever his name is,
replacing. Yeah, dude. Like the narrative is just driving after season 5, and it's like the movie hits, and you're like, I cannot wait to see what happens, and then it's like they just kind of resolve it in the first episode. Who cares? And they move on to bullshit.
In comic book terms, he's like Chris Carter to me is like the Scott Snyder. He can never finish anything.
He sort of disappeared.
He brought back the X, but they're like, we're gonna get a movie, and it turns out it's like about some dude getting his head cut off, and Busta Rhymes is in it, or Exhibit, some rapper. I'm just like, dude, I waited 10 years for the show to come back, and this is what you give me. And I don't know. And then I guess like during 2016, I guess they brought it back again, and
yeah, the last 2 seasons, dude. The last season in particular, the X-Files, unwatchable. It's unwatchable.
The whole they brought William back or something. He was
remember the super soldier bullshit?
Yes.
It's bad. Like just watch the first 5 in the movie and you're good.
Yep, and just stop it right there and say, well, I guess we never did find out what was out there.
Wow, look at this art, man. It looks like Greg Capullo type stuff here.
Well, that's funny because Dan Kemp, who used to color Capullo's Spawn, colored this.
Yeah, right here. Good buddy of Frega's.
Yeah. He was wonderful to work with. He was like, "Oh, it's gonna be dope. It's gonna be dope." I was like, "All right."
Did he give you his rap album?
He's like, "I already know what it's gonna be." I was like, "Try to use some of your reds on the nose." He's like, "Oh, it's gonna be awesome, man. It's gonna be dope. Trust me." He was right.
Did you get his rap album?
No.
You should have.
I have it downstairs. I should bring it up here whenever someone mentions them. I say, I have his rap album.
That's rad.
And this is was it Alan Goldman? He's making the rounds nowadays.
Wow, these are beautiful covers, man. Like,
You
I
know?
really like the close up of that cat. That's really cool, man.
Yeah, that was my friend Kayla. She kind of came up with the idea. She's like, "That'd be cool if you'd have the reflection in the eye." I was like, "Oh, then we could do like a cutout, but that's going to be too expensive, so we're just going to
So
keep it
why
with
is
this."
everybody fixating on this character?
Because he's a smartass. I guess like he would be my self insert. Like this guy is just he has worked for the United States government since the 1800s. Can you imagine how jaded he is? Can you imagine how much you hate your job coming to work day in, day out, working for the government? And he can't go anywhere but to his library, and that's all he wants to do. It's just to go in his library and read and be done with all of these people. You know, when you have a cat, they say you're their pet.
Yeah.
He has about 6 other pets that he does not want to deal with. He does not want
What's the old saying? Dogs have owners, cats have staffs.
Yeah, yeah.
That's right.
He's human resources, which is kind of funny because like her first day at the job on issue 2, he's just like, "What's up?" She's like, "What?"
So is he a man who ended up in a cat, or
No, he's
is
just
he?
a familiar. He's gonna get his own little side quest too. Everybody gets their own little episode to shine. Like, you know how the old He-Man books they had those little origin books in it.
Yeah,
So
the
I'm
one
gonna do
shots.
that. Yeah, everybody's gonna get an issue where everybody gets to go home, and you're gonna find out why they're on this team. And so issue 1, like she finds out she's got
So
her.
basically, he's your Tyrion, like where you get to like because
Yes,
George R. R.
he is.
Martin says that Tyrion is basically a stand-in.
Yes, he is, and he's also the this. I wouldn't say the glue. He's the Scotch tape that keeps all these people together and on the same page. And so, like issue 1, like Nancy finds out she's got these powers. By the end, somebody's after her. They show up to find to. This is my Bernie Wrightson type page. All these. Oh man, it's awesome.
Are you a librarian? Are you reading these
No,
books behind me?
no, no. I'm not a librarian
No,
at
I'm
all.
talking about this cat right here.
Oh yeah, yes. And so I get my little Bill Bixby panel right here that I put
Nice.
in there. I was like, I want that because that's why I do what I do. Because
Did you
I
write that
saw
in the script?
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I said I want it just like Bill Bixby. I said I want like a vertical panel, rectangular panel with the eye glowing green, and then her powering up for the first time. And so this is when cavalry arrives to save the day. This is all from issue 1.
So by the way, what's that add-on item of the cat?
Oh, it's like a little acrylic standee.
Did that sell well?
Yeah, it sold pretty well. I got some left from the first one. Yeah, it came with the collector's box, so a lot of people wanted to get the collector's box to get that, and so you only
Marco
had to.
says the book looks great, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, man. And so, and this is the introduction of the first villain for the first 2 issues, and going forward, we call him the Inquisitor.
Mm-hmm.
So he has no tolerance for these men of the cloth. And so we come back with issue 2. So it's kind of like issue 1 and issue 2 is how I would describe like the movie Men in Black. Like he finds out aliens are real, and then the second half of the movie is like him coming to work and then finding out, well, damn, the aliens work here. And that's what she finds out.
So is this a supernatural story or an extraterrestrial story?
Oh no, we don't have any aliens here. Like,
Okay.
He even says it in issue 2. He said the man with the funny hair is a kook.
And so, do you have? So, what I mean, other than the Monster of the Week stuff, what X-Files references are in here?
It's the monster equivalent of the X-Files. Instead of hunting aliens, they're out there looking.
Oh, in terms of the
monsters.
mythology.
Yeah. And
Okay.
so like rumors and all that gets shoved to this department, and so they go.
So the
investigate.
syndicate are monsters.
Maybe not. Maybe people. Maybe just really, really old people.
Vampires. Immortals.
We got it all, baby. I got this giant sandbox, and like nothing is really out of the realm of possibility. Kind of like Bill Willingham did with fables. Like I can do that with monsters and fairy tales too.
So when you're sitting here and you're just a fanboy and you got nothing to do, where did this come from? Like, where did you suddenly say, "I got to do this"? Like, what happened?
Well, I wrote this in what would be the bare bones of this, probably in like 04. Because I was with a guy in my unit that said he could get our stuff seen at CrossGen because he was an artist. And we got back, they were out of business. So he's like, well, we can submit the image. I was like, all right, I got shit to do. I'm 25 years old. I ain't got time for all that. I don't have any prior writing experience. Then a wife happens, a life, kids. And then comics just kind of took like I wouldn't say a nosedive, but like I started noticing things that used to be my job to notice things. And I didn't like what I saw. Everything went downhill as far as like the customer service, the art, the writing, the reverence for the characters, the damn respect for the reader. All of that went down, 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 down. And I just couldn't take it anymore. I was like, yeah, I'm done with comics. I can't deal with this shit anymore. This is
Are you talking
stupid.
about the 90s?
Yeah, really, right. I was more of I had switched over into the Vertigo era and some independent stuff like with Image. Not really the Image, like Divine Right was really the only Image book that I read.
So you did not like the Image Founders stuff?
Uh, some of it was wanting, I would say, story-wise. I did like, I liked Spawn in the beginning because I was 10 years old when Image started, Like I didn't,
Same
as
as me,
far
yeah.
as far as like story, I didn't know any better for lack of a better phrase.
Yeah, it was big booze, big guns, awesome art.
It's like because when I came, my first comic book one of the first comic books I ever bought off of the rack, that it's like, hey mom, this is going in with the Strules. It was a Silvestri X-Men book, so I didn't know anything other than that's how comics were supposed to look, But then when they jumped ship and all that, I didn't know what was going on. I was just like, oh, new stuff. And then I got Youngblood #1, and then I got all the other stuff. I got the whole introductory kit, like every other 10-year-old. I was like, I don't want to read this anymore. I'm gonna go read Swamp Thing. And
why did that happen? Like, did you just grow up?
I don't know, because I guess it was just because in a period 3 years they killed Superman. They broke Batman's back, and then all the people that drew all the books that I enjoyed left Marvel Comics. Like I wasn't really into DC that much. Like that came later. To me, DC.
Yeah, you're right. There was a lot of events at the other companies,
and like by the time I'm 13, I'm over in the corner smoking a cigarette as a fan. Like, man, I've seen some shit you guys don't even know. And just so like. Age of Apocalypse, that was cool, but I could tell the X-Men weren't really going. To me, none of that shit was going anywhere. Like, how many times can you do the same stuff? And it's just like that with any character. I guess it's been out for 30, 40 years.
You have a point. Sorry to interrupt, but you have a point, because all the big events that happened in the 90s, whether it was Zero Hour, the Nightfall, Age of Apocalypse, Death of Superman, they didn't go all the way.
No.
They all got retconned. Like, so for example, Superman doesn't die. He dies and comes back. In Age of Apocalypse, they go back in time and they stop Legion and negate the whole thing. In Nightfall, his back is healed.
Yeah, and when there are no stakes, then what's the point?
Right. It was. They were fun, but they should have had the balls to really go with the consequences.
And they're saying, well, you want realism in comic books. It's comic books. These are people who fly around and shoot laser beams out of their eyes. Yeah, but they're also, I don't know. I guess I want it both ways. I want these characters to stick around forever, but I want them to do something different. But when they do something different, I bitch. So I'll call myself being a woman.
Right.
But dude, when Death of Superman happened, that was a hysteria, man. That was a crazy period.
You're telling me.
And it was at the height of the bubble. Remember, you could not find Remember the trading cards were super expensive, and that black bloody.
I had the black bag as my I had the armband.
Right.
And those dipshits at school took them out of the bag. I was like, you better not do that.
But it was impossible to find. Remember the poly bag, the black.
Well, my uncle, he delivered all the shit to the stores and the grocery stores and the spinner racks. He drove this big yellow van that fed the majority of my collection. But he got me. I have probably right now that I haven't frittered away or given away and just sold or given to people like, oh, you don't have this. I had at one point probably 30, 40 copies of Superman 75.
Oh, wow.
We just give them away to people, like most of them were second printings. I have some first printings, but
do you
they're still
remember?
not worth that much if you go back and look at it.
Do you remember the one where he comes back, or he goes? Papa Kent goes into the afterlife and he sees Superman. It was in the white bag, and people bought boxes of that shit because they thought it was going to pay their. Do you remember that, Crager? People were
I
buying like
do.
boxes of them.
I do.
Why would you I can't believe
Yeah.
people. The speculator market. Even at 10 years old, I could have gone and told them like, this isn't going to be worth anything. You know why? Because there are a million of them out there.
Yeah,
that's right.
You
and
idiots.
They're not worth dick.
The reason the Babe Ruth cards are worth so much money for baseball is because a lot of moms threw them out with the garbage, and they're rare. You know what that word means? Rare means value.
Yes.
Rare means monetary value, I guess.
Well, apply it to your currency. If there's less of it, it's worth more.
Yeah.
But now you look at some. I remember going to the comic shop and some of these image books going for obscene prices up on. Remember on the rack, up there.
Yeah,
now
the wall.
That stuff like Pit #1 isn't worth dick. Spawn #1 isn't worth dick.
I go every time I have this. This is. Oh God, this is my. What is it? The compulsion. Have you ever seen that movie, Conspiracy Theory, with Mel Gibson?
Yep.
Where he has to buy a copy of Catcher in the Rye every time he sees it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every time I'm at a comic shop or anywhere sale, if I see a copy of the Max #1 in there, I buy it. I don't know why. I started probably 15, 20.
Where's Jason Bascom? He probably got more than you.
Probably. I like Sam Keith.
Sam Keith is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
This is his Grips fantasy that he's having.
Yeah.
Because Crager does have a plan for Grips one day.
I do. I have a massive plan for this character.
Nice.
So good. And you know what? Sooner rather than later, it may be something that happens. So I don't have to really get the rights for the character to do it and give it away. So
right.
I can just do it. Call it fan art. Take donations.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Or take a campaign.
Yeah, I mean, I know that Chris Silver is still around. I know he's still doing stuff. He has a website. He just isn't he still thinks his shit's precious and he just needs to give it to somebody else to do something with. So stuff I want to do with it. I
always love your portraits, man. I adore them.
Oh, thanks, man. I like this one. This is totally based on the Vigil piece from the first book. I can show it side by side. Let's see. So, and I wanted to do it this way on purpose because everybody's so fucking fond of the Tim Vigil version, right?
I like yours. Yours is a bit more beefier than him.
Well, yeah, I think mine's a little more realistic than cartoony.
I mean, his head is not, huge in yours.
Yeah, disproportionate here. See, we'll square this up a bit so that you can. That's how his head looks. So this is how my head looks.
Oh yeah, you definitely decraniumed a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I made him a little more normal sized, right?
Yeah.
This is a little more.
I mean, I can kind of see with his perspective on that one, how he kind of warped it a little bit. But yeah, I like how you brought the chin up a little bit and you kept the sinister grin, and yeah, it's great.
Yeah, kept the grin, kept the hands. relatively the same size. Made his gauntlets like have the little nubs sticking out, so it looks like fucking cool. You know, and I have a whole idea for it.
And who
So,
was that character, by the way?
This character Grips, his name is Martin Kane, and it's Silver Wolf Comics. Chris Silver and Tim Vigil. It's Tim Vigil's first work, and it takes place in San Francisco. And Nowhere to Escape Grips, and it says fickle is the night, fiend to some, friend to some, fiend to others. And apparently, this group of misfits is trying to attack and hurt people. And Grips isn't having any of it. I'm gonna recreate this and make it look right. Boom.
Even though that's really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool for what it is. And Grips pops in and starts killing people. And it says, "But the terror of the night and the horror for evil is Grips." And it says, "Move, slime bucket, you're not worth my time." And he throws him. Ugh. And then it's like, fuck you, shithead. And he goes, "Come on, wimp." I love that little pose right there. That's so good. He goes, "I'll whip you, you fairy asshole." And he goes, "Right," and smack. So this was done.
I think you could do. I already know you could do better in terms of the action.
Oh yeah, I think there's some stuff in here that could be very different in certain ways. So I like this middle panel is really nice.
Yeah.
Like that's some nice stuff right there. Even this is really nice, but it needs some modernization type of stuff.
Do you think Ed Piskor was a fan of
Grips? Oh, a huge fan of Tim Vigil. Yeah,
because I see a lot of it in like a red. It's kind of like a red roomy kind of look.
Yep, he was a huge fan of Tim Vigil. They did stuff on Faust and stuff like that. So this is Harry and his wife. He was saved by Grips. Now Grips is a comic book artist. So he draws the Fat Ninja, and there's like a third wall break or a fourth wall break when he gets a phone call from his editor or his boss, and his boss is the actual writer of the book, Chris Silver. So, and they actually had a comic book called Fat Ninja. So there's some workout scenes. He's getting buff, and he's all about discipline and pain, and like he's truly.
I appreciate the grotesquerie of his figures.
Right, I like that. I mean, they're super cartoony.
But if you go back to the workout scene where like it's not a beautiful figure, right? It's like it's kind of grotesque looking.
Oh yeah, they have some serious like muscles going on and stuff. Yeah, he's
like he wasn't trying to make him look like a statue or something. He was trying to make him look like a Cronenberg character, or something.
Yeah, he was trying to show off his muscles and stuff. And Tim, he really brought a lot of so Tim brought a whole lot of action to this when at the time Ron Lim originally was going to draw this. And Ron Lim at the time couldn't draw as well as Tim Vigil. But stuff like this is nice. Like these little actiony scenes right here. Like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that one.
Right? So, and then, like, that's pretty decent.
Is there only one issue of Grips?
No, there's several issues of Grips. So, like 6 or 8 issues plus other like stories that were done.
Because Tim Vigil is kind of odd because how did you get a hold of such a horde of Tim Vigil?
My dad, not my dad, my comic dad was a huge Tim Vigil fan. And so was I. Like my first comic book was this comic book right here. I was 15 years old. I bought this comic book. And I was like, this is cool. I'll buy this. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. So I wanted to draw like Tim Vigil. And then immediately I found out about Faust.
Yeah,
So
that's all I know him as Faust.
all you know is Faust, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
see, I know him before all that. Faust is awesome and such. But oh yeah, we're definitely getting our channel probably. So this is some satanic shit right here. Well, Pergonaut.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So this is the stuff that he did for Faust, which was done years and years later
Yeah,
after.
you can tell. Yeah.
Years. This is
For sure.
93. Yeah,
What up, Romy?
93. So this was 86.
Mm.
So this is years later.
Now I'm really seeing Ed Piskor.
Right? Like this is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, like everybody loves Tim Vigil. He never came back to do Faust. Everybody knows, or to do Grips. Everybody knows that he created Faust kind of based upon Grips.
Mm-hmm.
And I when I do my one shot that I want to do, I'm gonna bring
Now I
back
really want to see you do your one shot.
some of the Tim Vigil-y like goodness that should be in it, and it's gonna be cool. Like,
What makes you think you can get away with it?
because I'm not gonna charge for it.
Oh, there you go.
You can't be sued for something you can't, like, you don't make money for, right?
In terms of the property, where is it?
I don't know. It's impossible to get a clear answer on it.
Tim Vigil died, yes?
No, he's
He's
still
still
alive.
alive.
Tim
Okay,
doesn't own
okay.
it. Chris Silver owns it.
Okay, so you can't find Chris Silver.
I've found Chris Silver. He won't actually like have a conversation with anybody about it.
Mm.
So where he
Like,
just wants it to remain in stasis?
I've reached out to him. He never returned even a hey thanks for reaching out to me or anything. I was just like, dude, I want to see if I can license Grips from you. So, nothing. He just said, "Hey, nice to meet you." And that was it. So, yeah, man, I'm not playing. So what I'm going to do is do it behind the scenes. I'm going to make ash cans.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so half size comics essentially, right? And I'll do my own ash can version of it, and maybe I'll ask for donations, like, or sell them a sticker and give them the fucking like book for free, type of thing, and do whatever it is that I want to do, and nothing should come of it because
Luke says some people just don't like to make money, I guess. Well, in our own sector, there's one gentleman who, could make a ton of money by making an omnibus of a certain character, but we won't go there.
omnibus certain character. But yeah, I have a story for Grips, and it takes place after I think the 6th issue of Grips, which was the last issue Tim Vigil did. And
see, I really like this stuff, man. This is really cool.
Yeah, I want to bring like these characters back, but they're in a different way, right? Even though this one looks I have ways of doing things. So I've already come up with something that's going to be wholly different. He's still going to be psychotic. He's still going to be super violent. Probably even more so. But it's going to be a shock to people, and I want them to be shocked. Like, you're going to even see this guy, Deathborg.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And all the mob bosses and shit. And yeah. And I know everybody wants Tim Vigil to do it, or Pete Ayala, or other people, but
You're not interested, it seems.
They're not. Well, it looks as if like nobody's interested in it. So I'm just going to do fan version of it, very much like Daniel Warren Johnson did with his Old Man Skywalker and the Rogue Green or something like that. I forgot what it was. Anyways, there's two little comics that he did that were never published by like a major company. They're little ash cans, and you used to be able to get them from somewhere, either his art dealer or something, or it was a secret, like, and you had to ask for them to buy them. And I guess they printed up a bunch of them, and it's literally what if Daniel Warren Johnson did like Star Wars.
Yeah.
And Disney didn't sue him for it, so I doubt Chris Silver's going to sue me.
Yeah.
For making a few bucks off a dead character that hasn't been around since,
How about this? Can I make you more money just by figuring out how we can do something with this?
Right. That's what I've told him, right? Like, but he doesn't even want to respond to me.
How many issues of Grips are there?
I think you said 6, right?
There's 6, okay. And then it goes to Greater Mercury Comics from Silverwolf Comics, and then there's a few. I think there's 3 or 4 after that. But yeah, and what's funny about Grips is he's totally politically incorrect. Killing some of these guys, he's all calling them like fairies.
Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think Jim Valentino was lifting a lot of this for Shadowhawk?
Oh, I don't know.
It's the whole backbreaking thing and even the design of Shadowhawk. It seems like there's a lot in common with this.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Ron Lim and Valentino were friends, so and Ron Lim and everybody liked Tim Vigil back in the day, dude. So he has some really cool stuff going on.
I remember I saw a picture of like he did like this. It's black and white, obviously, but it's like he did a print of like Medusa or something. I saw it was years and years ago, but I was just like, "Who is that?" They're like, "Oh, that's Tim Vigil." I'm like, "Oh, okay, now I get it." Because I heard Faust is like supposed to be getting like a TV show.
It got an omnibus, and it got a.
Remember they made a movie, kind of.
They made a movie. They made a movie which Brian Yakuza made, the guy who made the Wishmaster stuff.
Brian Yuzna?
Yeah, that guy. I think I have that Medusa in here. Here's an original. This is a Tim Vigil original for Dark Kingdom. Are these
for sale?
Yeah, this is for sale.
Yep. So anybody watching,
boom,
hit them up.
Yeah, I'll send it to you for like $200. So, and this is him doing Frazetta.
Yeah,
that's what this is. This is some of the stuff where he wanted to kind of do a Kirby character. It's called Omega. It's one of my favorites. I know, super gay.
Faust, cool.
This is part of my personal collection of stuff. Like, this stuff is really old. And there's only like, you had to be at the Doubletree like hotel in Dallas to get this. Mark Beecham. I own a bunch of Beecham originals also, the guy who did this. Like, I even probably have a copy of that Medusa somewhere here.
Are these originals?
No, they're prints. Oh, okay.
Medusa. That's it.
This one?
Yeah. I saw that when I was a kid. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's sick.
That's a good one. It's a print. Like, all these are print. Here's an angel he did. Like, this fucking angel's unreal.
That's beautiful.
Right? In the background, look at all the fucking
I know, dude. I know.
All the negative fucking, you asshole. You bastard. Let's see. Evil Ernie, when he did Evil Ernie.
Oh, wow.
Look at Lady Death
Mm.
and Evil Ernie. Yeah, I have lots of stuff of his, man. This is nothing. Like, I own so much of his work through proxy because my comic dad like died. I ended up with all this stuff.
I like that one.
And look, the original Faust Nightmaster portfolio from the 80s, which has the grips covers. So
Luke says one that's badass, and holy shit, that LDEE piece.
Yeah, it's pretty badass.
So yeah, I have a bunch of weird stuff. Like, and this is nothing. Like, I have every version of the Faust movie.
They did a movie?
In every language. I have the storyboards for the movie that were made in their entirety. My comic dad was crazy about this shit. So, Jack the Lantern, this is Sinbuck.
Mm.
Yeah, this stuff's fucking beautiful. We've seen that piece. We've seen this piece. Bunch of Faust portfolios, like unopened North Star portfolios.
Look who it is. Speaking of rock stars.
Yeah.
What up, Phil?
What's up, Phil?
Welcome.
Look at this.
We're looking at some Tim Vigil Faust stuff. Some
Look
grips.
at this. How meaty that is. Meaty goodness. And I have it in spades. Like, this, yeah. I have bunches.
Marco's got that Faust portfolio, he says.
I have all of them in doubles. Oh my god, so much. Look at that. Most of my
sale?
It is. If anybody's interested in any of this weird shit, I have so much of it. Yeah, I'll sell it. So, originals and yeah, prints. So just so much. What? Who was asking?
I was just saying because everybody's just kind of drooling over all this, and I was like, hey, guys, if you want to buy it, there you go.
Yeah, it is. If anybody sees anything, and of course you can hit me up. The prints are like $20. Like, they're 11 by 17. They're all signed. That's probably what it's gonna cost me to ship it. If you buy more than one, like let's say you buy like 4, you can get like a 5th one. And if I really like you, I might just throw some extras in there. And then that covers shipping, because I'm just gonna FedEx it to you, like in a big box. Yeah, in like a plastic holder, 11 by 17 plastic holder. So it'll be perfect. It'll be beautiful. Yeah. Anyways, there's a bunch of that shit. So much of it, and I have so many comics. Like, I can't tell you how many like weird. Like, look at this Godhead. These are really old.
Oh shit.
These are some very old fucking like punky comics, man. These were underground shit back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. Yeah. Reminds me of Joe Sontag. See, look. That's total. Who's swiping Jim Lee?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're swiping Jim Lee. Yes, they are. So.
I like that first panel on that page. Yeah, it was good.
This black one?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's a good one. At least he tried something different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't just try swiping Jim Lee. Like, look
Yeah,
how many Jim
yeah.
Lee.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
It's, if I don't have my glasses on, it's Psylocke. I mean, right
It
down
is.
a little cut on the hips.
Absolutely. But when this was done, this was right around that time period, 92, dude.
Yep.
Like, look, Cry
Everybody
for
was trying to
God.
ride that image train.
Yeah. And then should be some pinups back here. Yeah.
You got some kind of Cenobite, looking characters.
Jim Ballant back in 92.
And we also kind of tend to underestimate how close to the 80s this is. So, like, there's a lot,
Yeah.
Hellraiser was what, 88, 87?
Yeah.
Look, there's
87.
Tim Vigil, Tim Tyler. Huh. Anyways, yeah, underground comics, man. This is all the stuff I was into when I was like getting into comics.
Yep.
They were none of the actual stuff that we're into now. Let's see.
J.Crager.
Look, I have like look at these. Like
J.Crager. Luke
what?
asked, that was a character from Animal Mystic in the back there, wasn't it?
What one? What are we talking about?
Luke was asking, that was a character from Animal Mystic in the back there, wasn't it?
Of the Godhead book?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Possibly. Huh. Let's see. We'll go back. So this one looks signed to Chris, and that's from David Quinn, who signed it. And I'm assuming Chris is my buddy Glenn's son.
It's just a horse-looking character. Both Dawn and Animal Mystic ended up at Sirius Entertainment.
Oh, you mean this stuff in the back? Right here, this horse. Beyond by Dark One? Is this the stuff you're talking about, buddy?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It just says Beyond by Dark One. And then it goes on for 4 pages. 5 pages.
Yeah, same dude that did Animal Mystic.
Greg Williams did it, 92. So yeah, I mean, some of this stuff is really old. These are the premiere first issues of Faust. This is the stuff that kind of came out first to kind of get the print run going. So I think these go for a couple $100. This one was signed to Chris, which was my comic book dad's real son, who passed away about 2 years before Glenn did. So I ended up with not only Chris's stuff, but Glenn's stuff. So yeah, this is the very first issue, and this has like a little extra bit to it, which when I was a kid, so in high school, this was some of the first stuff I saw was this stuff when I was like 15, and this chick's all grabbing her bush. It's fucking great. Like a kid in high school, a 15-year-old in high school was just like, yes, please. That's fucking awesome.
What year is this? Probably what, 88, 89?
Hold on. 88.
Yeah, there you go.
So, it was awesome. So that's about the year I would have seen it too, 88. And I just remember like being totally in awe that comic books could be like this. This really weird, subversive. All I knew about comic books was Spider-Man or fucking man, this even has a good spine on it. Here, I'm not gonna fuck with that one. Let me open this one. Like I'd never seen a comic book with sex in it,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
people shooting up. Look,
yeah,
like, and they're not like making light of it. She's calling him a fucking junkie asshole.
yeah.
Uh, and he's trying to ask him, quit dealing, quit doing stuff like this.
Mm.
It's a morality tale, even though they're showing a bunch of, you know, sex, right? And I thought this was a really well drawn face.
Yeah.
Uh, as a kid, this was fucking awesome. This sex is dirty.
Yeah, stuff is dirty. Yeah, all this stuff was in like they had it like at my comic shop in my hometown closed right after Superman and all that happened. After like Luke was saying, the bubble popped. So it went
Right.
out of business. But before that, right around this time, like all the comics were in like this Heavy Metal magazine,
Uh-huh.
anything lewd, lascivious that had words or things that we shouldn't have seen were in a room that said "Do not enter" without proper authorization, and like a for some reason the Star Trek Starfleet logo. And I remember you couldn't go in there, so like I remember uh, he was like, "Go talk to him," and then keep his attention, and we'll sneak back in there and we'll just flip through it and look at all the titties. And so yeah, that was a game we would play with that guy. It's crazy. Like they didn't want you to see this stuff.
Yeah, I mean they didn't because it's really gory and full of murder and my parents at the time I would have been 15, so you would have been really young.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Uh, uh, my parents at the time didn't really censor me, so they were like, "Well, why do you want this?" I go, "Because he draws so awesome, and I want to learn how to draw like him." And they were like, "Well, he draws kind of like crazy stuff." And I was like, yeah, so I go, there's a lot of crazy stuff in life. And they were like, okay, okay. Uh, well, I think my parents were referring to the drug use and stuff in it. It
Oh,
wasn't like, uh, you know, clean
that
cut.
glass coming through. Oh man,
Yeah,
that's great.
all that. It wasn't all clean cut and everything. So, you know, I think they just didn't want me being somewhat influenced by this stuff. But, I'm not going to throw people's heads around. What kind of stupid idiot are you?
I know.
So yeah. Anyways, yeah, this is some of the coolest stuff, uh, and I love it. And it's the stuff that kind of shaped me as an artist. um, not everybody got to meet their. Not everybody gets to meet their heroes when they're growing up. And when I was, pretty young, I got to meet Tim Vigil. So, uh, and it kind of changed the way I perceived comics and stuff. But,
Oh yeah.
nevertheless, I can really like dig like all this fucking brush inking.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's really good at what he does. And, you know, I kind of wish that I wish he was a little more consistent, but it doesn't really matter because his characters have so much expression on their faces and they're just so like it doesn't matter that this guy doesn't look like this guy, you know?
Right.
You know, it his consistency got better as he went farther along in the series. Like these intimate moments are really nice. This stuff right here is really nice. This is when comics were still done on duotone or duoshade paper. So he's putting chemicals on it to get this zipatone look.
Zipatone, yeah, that's what I was gonna say,
Yeah. Yeah. Let's look at John's little peepee. That's pretty cool. So, anyways, I used to love this stuff. I think it's a little overboard. It's not something I totally want to do right now, but you know, when and if I do grips, like if I do that, it's probably going to be like gore to the level of Terrifier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, okay, if I'm going to do gore, I'm going to do it way, way, way too far.
Yep.
Like, you know, like that. Or like that. Is that even?
Yeah, I didn't even know what Faust was until probably mid '90s. You know, that's when all that stuff I started to kind of nope out of the mainstream and just look for other avenues or just read back issues because, like I said, they were just you were telling the same story. You can only tell the same story so many different ways until people were like, well, "It's the same story." Like, how many times can you have the return of the Green Goblin with Spider-Man until it's just like, all right, we know what's going to happen at the end of the day. Nothing's going to change.
Right, right. No, this book has consequences to it. Actually, like you know, the this book Faust actually is the story of Faust making a deal with the devil.
Right.
You know, and the ramifications thereof, and jealousy, and you know all the things that go with it. I think we already looked at this. So you know, it had never been done before in comic books to this extent. Like nobody had ever taken it that far. Now it's like if you're gonna take it that far, you have to take it like all the way. So, anyway, speaking of going all the way, I did some artwork for this guy, the Stain comic book, and Stain issue 3 is going to be coming out sometime, or going into taking orders sometime, maybe at the end of October, maybe after. I know we're going to run the campaign through like January or something like that. It should go to print at the end of January. But in issue 3, I'm doing a 10-page story in Stain 3. And let me see. This one actually has the Stain logo. There we go. And it'll be my vampires, or my vampire Borden, doing what Borden does. And yeah, it's a very subversive, comic, and it's going to have some gore and stuff in it. And if you're down for the gore, then get the Stain comic book when it comes out. I'll be pimping it. Yeah, and I only did 10 pages. So, and Will's writing the story, but I kind of like plotted it, and he's just kind of filling it. But it'll still be good because he's a good writer and he'll make it work.
I'll try.
No, he'll do it. And if he doesn't, if it's something just out of his scope of things, like either I can berate him until he does something,
I'll just go to Chat GTP.
Or yeah, he could do that too. Which I could just do that if that were the case.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I can cover it. So I'll just go to Chat GPT. What, you'll fill in my pages to Chat GPT and say write a story to this?
Yeah. Sorry, something in my eye. I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, man. Giving me the stink eye or something. So nice. Well, it's getting late, guys. 9:42.
Yeah.
Let's
I'm exhausted.
Sorry, I just kind of ran on and on and on. And
No, I was about to just fall asleep on my keyboard.
That's okay. I'm glad
we got boring. I'm just exhausted.
I'm glad we got that Faust stuff out of the way and the Grips stuff out of the way. Yes, I will eventually do a Grips comic, and I'd come hell or high water. So, yeah, boom. And yeah, with that, I want to thank Hojo for coming out tonight.
Thank
Will,
you, Hojo. Appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me, fellas.
Thanks everybody for coming out and hanging with us. And as always, we're going to leave as we came in with a little bit of peaches.
Good night,
so
everyone.
Wave it off and see you later.